Oh wait, I should probably pull up my computer.
I'm gonna open up one document. It's just a 2.5 file for it to says. Okay, I am ready when you are.
Yeah, is everyone ready?
Yep.
Plea bargaining is the criminal justice system. The criminal justice system is the modern plantation plea bargaining underwent the transformation of chattel slavery, black coat sentencing regimes, manifesting as mandatory minimums in the prison industrial complex. That's Heiner 16. Southern slavery disfigured the possibilities of all caught up in the philosophy of slavery came to conform conduct to PQ conduct and reform, so matter how innocent slave might be availed of nothing to be accused, what's to be committed, what's to be punished or justified with the murder with utilitarian argument about the preservation rule and order. The irresponsible power plantation persisted as did the social and civil death. Racial domination continued to persist through the CJS. The plea bargaining system is entrapment through which meetings and practices of racial domination from previous areas have been fundamentally functioning sedimented. Prosecutors have operated the Mandavalli. You decide which of the accused are prosecuted. The role of the prosecutor function is inextricable and crown free. Plea bargaining is the criminal justice in the cases. In the cases of more than 95% have not been held to the high evidentiary standard required to validate conviction. The result by the minimum sentence lies on these bodies of bargaining to be given away in term for plea, but the pre-regime appears divorcement of coupling before performing sentencing schemes and racially selective charging. People of color are unlikely to feel freedom that would distinguish equal change for domination. And best and most recent statistics prove plea bargaining is unquestionably discriminatory. Controls black incarceration and criminalization. That's Parejo 17. White defendants 45% more likely to see the top charge reduction being limited possibility of conviction. White defendants 7% more likely to see all misdemeanor charges carrying potential imprisonment. So these creates lower evidentiary standards for the high rates of wrongful conviction. In these cases, black individuals begin to be labeled as criminals. White defendants see their felony charges drop recommended and misdemeanor charges 14% more often. Plea bargaining is the procedural entrapment that sustains mass incarceration. The unreviewable power of the prosecution strips bodies of rights and sentiments, racial domination. That's Heiner 16. Poor criminal offense of color are caught in a no-win situation compelled to suffer permanent penalties may be distinct from the antebellum functioning analogous as a knowledge of racial domination. Plea regime is a necessary condition of mass incarceration without forfeiture rights of plea when reasoning manufactured CGS could not process the vast number of people of color. It currently does an institution that attracts pound social death of millions of blacks. The prosecutor functions in functional and irresponsible power of the administrators of plantation law. Both enforce and prescribe the terms of racial conduct. Prosecutor discretion is an unaccountable behind closed doors, and the intricate mechanics of the misdemeanor process racialized crime and mark black folks as criminals absent the presumption of innocence. Prioritizing efficiency over truth creates the stereotype of the black offender and causes mass incarceration. That's Mandavalli 12. The misdemeanor process is the first form of step in the racialization of crime. Convictions generating against young black men convictions labeled criminal, and when the plea to discipline misdemeanors represent the crime about which the system generate criminals based on race, not contrary to evidentiary standards. Political disfavor black who get the heart of the lies of the lower position poor black men are probably guilty. Prosecuting presumed guilty chiefly has made a higher priority than investigating innocence. Police have the power to transform black men and pretty criminals regardless of evidence to teach it to white defendants. Evidence process do not matter. Cut the card there. Thus, the plain text resolved: the Supreme Court of the United States, in the next available test case, ought to rule the practice of plea bargaining unconstitutional on the basis that it violates the equal protection analysis established in the State versus Russell. Cruz 93 summarized. Courts can use Russell analysis to overturn prosecutorial discretion that results in disparate racial impact. Instances of discretion disability affect racial minorities. The court concludes impact substantially burns racial minorities. The court can subject that action to accepting equal protection clause analysis in the court might invalidate plea bargaining arguments if they create a substantially disparate impact. The court might attack the prosecutor's discretion regarding plea bargaining violates equal protection guarantees and crash the system and let it lose its efficiency collapse under its own weight. The act causes a wide-scale restructuring of the CJS. That's Alexander 12. What would happen if thousands refuse to plea? Well, could we bring the system to a halt of basic safeguards? Or if the overwhelming majority theoretical? Can we crash the system just for exercising rights? Yes. Mass incarceration depends on the corporation. If everyone suddenly exercised rights would create chaos. Chaos would force incarceration to the top of the agenda. Policymakers sharply scale back criminals cases filed with drug possession, for example. The action would create a crisis and the system would crash and could no longer function. Put us to force public conversation today that had been content to avoid a judicial system, but only works so long as we accept its terms. And absent plea bargaining, the politics of carcerality becomes unsustainable. The act opens up space for decriminalization and exposing the contradiction of the law. That's Heiner 3. Create a crisis by establishing intent in the force of society to confront racial injustice. The assertion would overwhelm routine with the mass incarceration crisis, forcing government to action to remedy racial justice. Prosecutors can use their discretion to assist 750,000 people plea bargaining each year. We're willing to burn into the population of Birmingham, Alabama, to assistance throughout law enforcement, which would necessitate seismic shift to policing. Mass transition would widespread doubts about the legitimacy of statute potentialities will enforce reform in the direction of decriminalization. A widespread restriction will expose more legitimacy mass incarceration by continuing consent and procedural entrapment. We are greasing the wheels of the carceral machine. And Davis precedent allows judicial racism to go unchecked. Russell analysis opens the floodgates to challenge discriminatory policies nationwide. That's Cruz 93 summarizing. In Russell, the court determined that statistical proof was alone sufficient to establish challenge to the requirement of intent forecloses claims challenging policy. The requirement inhibits equal protection clause analysis. If courts apply Russell, the results can be far-reaching. Defense studies could raise equal protection challenges at nearly every stage of the criminal process. Framing. This round should be centered around mass incarceration. Ethics and the age of the prison industrial complex requires stance against its specific violence. That's Roberts 4. In prisons built on assessments of certain social benefits, those are tend to be martial only to divert attention away from through analysis. The regressive political structure policies dependent lends moral weight to social movements, owning post-cause to create more prison divisive. Racial repression, slavery, Jim Crow require conversion to moral question. Prisons are becoming enmeshed in the normal way, and the social consequences makes a moral question. And stable incarceration is morally repugnant. Incarceration serves a repressive function that contradicts democratic norms and itself moral research will underscore the urgency of wrestling with this question before prisons of bloody most Americans have addressed it. And it is urgent to change how we evaluate risk. Modern debate drives that motive participation by ignoring discussion of systematic violence in favor of high magnitude disadvantage signs at risk of zero on face. That's cone 13. Unrealistic scenarios and ability to engage systematic impacts. A bunch of white folks talking about nuclear wars and damning indictment of every coach claims it's the same time over epistemological questions. If I introduce an argument and starts at 100%, you have to disprove it, but it's roughly to reduce something down to zero. And disadvantage, it has our own unbiased discrete assumption, each which can be countered by only a handful are relevant. Some bring down to zero. Most cards don't make definitive claims. Risk is basically zero even before responsive underview. First, 1 error theory is dropped to the debater. The 1 error is too short to rectify abuse and have a shot on substance. Second, no neg RBI. Otherwise, 6 minutes, 2 narc can collapse to a short shell and get away with infinite 1 abuse via sheer brute time spent on theory. Third, fairness is a voter. It's considered to any competitive activity based on skill and the losses. Unfair practice to the judge's ability to determine the better debater. Fourth, no counterplans. Negatives must defend the status quo. That's plans 89. The counterplan begs the question being asked. Counterplans are not responsive. The resolution limits remains a discussion to what should be from the resolution. The status quo is all exists when they make amendments. Where does negative fiat of such thing as even possible to come from? Why does they have the right to implement proposals? Fiat is not reciprocal. The negative already benefited from the resolution just as much as the affirmative. Counterplans and no legitimate debate arguments, valuable arguments wouldn't be sacrificed. Only those are actually the reason to reject the act. Fifth, there are 3 undecided cases in the current docket regarding plea bargaining. That's OES 18. Class versus United States, Hughes versus United States, and Kerr versus Square. I cut the last card in the advantage at do not matter.
Okay, that's fine. Project ready?
Mm-hmm.
Will you defend that the consequences of the 1AC lead to a decriminalization of non-violent offenses?
Of non-violent offenses?
Like what you're hiding.
That's not the thesis of the AF.
I know, but will you defend that that's a consequence of the 1AC?
I mean, no. I'll defend the AF decreases massive.
Wait, no, is this not an extra TT violation, any sort of that? I just want to know, like, does the AF lead to a sort of cultural change in which they decriminalize non-violent offenses? Like, I can read a line here. Okay, yeah.
Sorry, I don't know what you meant.
That's fine. The last card, the OES 18 card,
Mm-hmm.
name me one of those cases that is is specific to abolishing plea bargaining. These all just seem to be
They all deal with plea bargaining.
Oh wait, that's not the same thing as your plan text. Your plan text says we must abolish plea bargaining. So, just so we're clear, none of these cases apply to your plan text.
I don't think so, right? The court can rule plea bargaining unconstitutional in any of these cases.
Okay, which one? And explain to me why. The only first of all, the card does not even explain any of the cases, so I don't know why you can just make.
It's a list of 3 cases.
I understand. Which case says that the court can rule all plea bargaining unconstitutional?
The court can rule a practice unconstitutional when they're deciding a case about it. That's how the legal system works.
But these are all test cases in reference to a specific usage of plea bargaining, not just all plea bargaining.
Yeah, they can rule the practice of plea bargaining as a concept violates the equal protection analysis established in the State versus Russell.
Okay. The incarceration. What is the unique reason why we should prioritize incarceration?
Sure. The argument is has become normalized in our culture of mass incarceration. Right. We see the fact that thousands of black men are funneled through the system as okay and normalized. Arguments that educational spaces like debate are key to challenge that assumption.
Does the 1AC use brackets?
One of the cards is bracketed to change him to them. The rest of it is not bracketed.
Okay, cool. Can you sort of explain to me your solvency?
Sure, there's a couple arguments. The Alexander evidence indicates that the policymakers will be forced to deal with the fact that now that there's no plea bargaining, the courts pretty much cannot function. The fact that they're being massively clawed and the evidence indicates that 95% of court cases currently end in pleas. If none of them could end in pleas, they'd be forced to do things like decriminalize a bunch of drugs, other reforms that would decrease the amount of people in the system because it cannot handle it.
Okay, the 1NC is going to be 2 off, and they're going to
I'm not doing this. I may be theory in 1 error.
Yeah, but I want you to know what you want me to change about the 1NC.
Okay, you want to send me the doc?
Yeah, sure, you want to look at it?
I'm not going to commit to anything, but I'll look at the doc if you want.
And this is this. Okay.
That
The probability argument, what does it mean for a dissent to have 0% risk?
Sure, the argument is that it is functionally impossible to get something exactly down to 0% risk, which means that debaters are incentivized.
So what's the bright line to how much risk is not risk?
I don't know. We would debate that on the dissent.
I know, but I'm asking you to specify.
The argument is that we should prioritize systematic violence, like mass incarceration, over
okay,
like
so does
lynchings.
do high magnitude? I'm sending out the one and see. It's too often the case, and like I said in cross-sections, they're better than dissents.
Okay.
Sent. On case, it'll be first the theory stuff. So first the framing, then the theory stuff, then like case trees and stuff.
Framing, then the underview, then the top of the case. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So pretty good.
Yeah.
Sessions is an attack on legalization or bolstering cartels now roach or marijuana/4 by attacking marijuana legalization such as on a preference for allowing all commerce in marijuana take place in black market which allowing claiming the spike of violence and decriminalization weakens cartels person. 17 legalization of marijuana has discovered the business model of many drug cartels that have been making big bucks of marijuana. The U.S. and the U.S. Border Patrol has been seizing steadily so smaller quantities of the U.S. to legalize but they will run to the dropping in part of the line they took on the nefarious play they sure they're here but you legalization cut down demand for legal marijuana cross section or something like that. You said you would defend the decriminalization of non-violent offenses also your Heiner says so don't allow anyone one year rearticulation and the perception of a strong cartel is key to AMLO victory. Longmire's 12/14 supporters of AMLO pointing out the Mexican politics of the working out cartels for decades they have come down with a radical alternative policy reducing drug violence before the readily opposed voting in 14% of the PRA the current president Enrique Peña Neo's power of the party AMLO which is likely resonating people having over the current counter tragedy and appears proof that link cartel violence is damning for the PRA. It's vital to AMLO win or told to 24 Mexicans registered the highest murders in total modern records dealing with principal president and the end of spending years of managers to reduce the murder during the first 2 years of the president suddenly enables for them to continue killing such damage critically in her PRA which was it faces uphill struggle in the 2018 election of AMLO is keeping Mexican stability. PRA re-election would be devastating to yes. One such where the left wing from would take a central role in restoring order while Brando wanted to create more opportunities of real population to send the military led opportunity to end mistake with amount of performance regarding the list of clerical border bits of corruption can result all the sale report pledge to create a national guard provide little security with PRA scrapped in 2012. Mexico is in a failed state yet but they are close for their stability would push them past the ring carpenter the deal of violence without super subside although dominant driving organization of the discriminatory new competitors taking the place of the organization on the right for so the same in reflects live public confidence in Mexico with cartels initially penetrating governmental institutions. These institutions may be compressed horrific way into may become a failed state. The cartels are raging human trafficking, hijinks, oil shipments, extortion, and other criminal activities. And Mexican state failure causes disease, war, and a regional dominant effect that isolates nations not just high magnitude, but also things like terrorism and refugees, which are still as strong and tooling to structural violence. Names barring 5 stakeholders, most dangerous security challenge, failed states, they bring instability, regional conflict, terrorism, humanitarian disaster, refugee flows, the human rights violation, torture, poverty, starvation, disease, trafficking, women who live of conventional weapons by WMD, which has ethnic complexities, slow to regional symptoms of poverty, displacement, and conflict, and instability, destroying a government area really longer stages of perceive the more their representation and gender, and global security, peace, and prosperity. Dissent. The U.S. dogmatically requires international courts confirm the legal standards of abolishing plea bargaining skills over making 10 meaningful independent goals established by U.S. criminal justice export programs, criminal justice export programs, recommended practices of short procedural and present-based and punishment for the bargaining export programs. Assuming these practices will be bring us stability, reduce crime and economic growth. This inherits the use of priorities. Manifests the one very well eligible consideration of actual effects. And plea bargaining gives international criminal courts the efficiency they need to prosecute international criminals. Turner 17 international prosecutors counter challenges regarding crimes committed by systemic widespread complex while bargaining prior to the prosecutor then dips in the law to help them skin other cases against high-level offenders probably run through over so they can use against prosecuting a number of offenders. The bargaining accused is likely to punishment like an immensely puncher or more infiltrator for their factors than the severity of the bargaining ensures retribution and empirically overwhelmingly prove that strong prosecutorial powers in international courts decrease the likelihood and magnitude of international war crimes. Jones Simmons 14 a signal that the prosecutor is willing to take action reducing civil and kill by 9%. IC the action represents the IC's operational authority and the prosecutor may need to take action on domestic crimes charges influenced by presence. ICR so reduce civil and kill will legal reform and kill and reduce civil and kill by 60% knowing ICC may step helps to deter violence against civilians and government force rights. Human rights groups are able to capitalize the ICC for holding governments accountable. They continue. The ICC contributes directly to prosecutorial deterrence by investigating and prosecuting war crimes on it. It also encourages states to improve capacity and reduce and detect and prosecute war crimes domestic. The ICC also deterrence against a mobilized international community to make a justice case. Framing. Off the code 13 evidence, 1 cross-sex proof there's no blind link to anything has 0% risk. They make in their particular analysis of the 1 AR, so when the descent is not likely, if anything, if you think the descent might happen or descent has a small chance of happening, you should err negative because 0% risk is impossible without conceded by cross-sex. Too high magnitudes of the scenario still lead to structural violence. Things like international war crimes and instability are still bad for brown people. Also, there's a contradiction. You say incarceration covers with that we should also focus on structural violence, which means there's an internal tension between which type of structural violence gives which focus, which means that you should allow new tune our wing as to why our distance link interference to be is unclear in the 1 whether incarceration for comfort or generic structural violence can cover also your for evidence not specific incarceration, just incarceration is immoral, which means that we still leverage things like higher mind to exchange because those are still immoral because then and structural violence is bad. And there's also no internal link. There's no unique or independent reason why probability is good. Just because we value probability doesn't mean we directly value structural violence, which means that things like the dissent are still linked, but there's offense also. Extinction comes first. We must account for future descendants. Methane extinction events are public. Spectrum are largely include future on the death level, the extinction level, impact on the population, but plus all descendants. There's a discontinuity between risk that around 90% of humanity, the 100% that interlinks to structural violence arguments because things like focus on structural violence will never be possible if everybody's dead, which proves that the descent is a key internal link. Now the arguments you say time, but strategy, efficiency, speed, strat, uplink, all solved. Because your arguments to affirm is easier because to persuasion and pigeonholing negative opposite that ways you can still read a discourse in 1 hour, which means we get to set the our framing impacts. Also, we get the 2 hour RPS because the winner can just read 50 different shells in the 1 hour, makes it impossible for 2 hour to engage because they all functionally become nibs and we have to overcome them, makes it impossible to do the 2 hour because it's very spread out. Even if the 1 hour is hard, doesn't mean that you should make the 2 hour impossible. Protect the 2 hour in your love for his new way and any cross applications you say. Yeah, that's enough. Framing. Actually, what am I on? Offense. Plan flow audit is an evaluator, rather refers to a moral judgment on whether we must take a moral obligation, which means it can't be implemented. This using negate a point no solvency because there's a plan that will pass person negative because they don't have one reason why I should believe them. That's one B point. Sexual education is cute effective policy making 20 whole way bill and Arkansas was dragged because they're facing correctly no solvency. Trump and major Republicans rather die in the past 2 years before Pike 17. Trump works when incoming crime is dismisses social contributed crime, then favors state health policy links to seconds or police sex. Trump is the thesis exists within embraces health crime policy to call for putting people in prison. Trump criminal justice reforms and the response from says Trump likely rejects those views. Trump is running so people tough on crank up the card tough on crime and increasing case loads causes massive expensive judicial expenditure till all 2 cases with relevant tables 97 is easier for courts made ideological patronage and the partisan debate with the Democratic rights case 97 the project will catch up with the efficient process case rather than ideological patronage the case basing enormous case of concept is one that adding more justice expenditures allow for Congress president engage in cabal together with the federal district courts and turns case overwhelming conservative courts appoints these framed judicial citizens for decades to land eliminate their local play critical and deciding cultures of their pressure rights get rid of immigration discrimination all the impact of the situation of more than 300 million American legislation these lifetime points are now reversible white males account for 80% of the president picks of Trump selection post process of change selection justice federal society and heritage foundation cut the card heritage foundation and last crime case. No solvency. The reforms won't touch racialized incarceration. Lane 15 to 46% of inmates were in for violent offenses. The definition of violent offenses includes 60% for non-violent violation. Drug offenses account for 19.5% fewer people appear to be prison than marijuana. Should fewer still possession and more drugs than showed racial disparity. Incarceration for release into drug prison and drug charges. The proportion of African Americans will still be 37%. Also, there's also some sound reverse causal. Just because you take out plea bargain doesn't mean it'll lead to cultural shit. Because people like the KKK still think plea bargain is good. You don't influence the minds of policymakers to prove that. That's your only defense against the gap.
Right?
Yeah.
Alright. Cool. In the interview, you were like, I guess, sit down. You were like, I get new Wang in the 2 AR. Do I get new Wang in the 2 AR?
Yeah, I mean, unless the 1 AR makes that Wang. I mean, like.
Wait, what? No, new Wang, not 1A Wang. Because you get 2A
No,
Wang,
because you set the debate in the 1A. So you can say I don't get 2 AR Wang, that's fine. But you have
that's not what I'm asking.
Yeah, I know.
This logic seems to also suggest the 2 AR should be protected because you can extend stuff.
No, because our argument is that because the 1AC has 2 different routes in the 1AR, it makes strategy for the 1AC.
You have 2 different disads.
Okay, that's not the same thing as Wang, because your 1 Wang claim can take out 2 entirety of the disads if they're the same impact scenario. So my argument is that there's 2 different articulations of framing in the 1AC, which makes it incoherent. You feel for 2 different things in the 1AR, so we should add
extinction first.
You can pick whatever framing argument you want and deal with the 1AR, just as develop our offense. Doesn't matter.
Should you say extinction first? Which part of the man-warring card says extinction?
Our argument is that the sort of instability and like shit like that.
Like the bottom is just like, yeah, it might affect global security. Why does that mean extinction?
I don't think a card has to say extinction to say something can lead to extinction. Like that's always an incoherent understanding of how cards work.
So then why?
Because the thing is like WD proliferation will happen, terror, disease, war, all of these things.
And that kills everyone on the planet. That's fine. Why is odd?
Or
why is odd
proliferation? Do you know what a nuclear weapon is? What'd you say?
I do know what it. Thank you. Why is odd not evaluative? Like
because
you
odd
read a
refers to
card
moral
like a
obligations.
Why?
It refers to if I say someone ought to do something, it doesn't mean that that something should happen, but rather they have a philosophical more or underpinning to other things that have it happen. That's how that's why we can read a new tune or chord if you want, but if you don't understand ought, that's
fine. The defense on the app about no solvency also takes out the first disad, right? Because it relies on system crashing and then legalizing weed.
Well, yeah, but it also means you negate because you can see the court packing dissad, and that means that.
Well, in this world, I wouldn't have. Okay, we'll move on. Why are AMLO and PRI like Mexican political parties?
Yes.
Okay. Why is one a lot better than the other?
One is really tough on crime. One is basically Trump. So I'll explain the warrants they do in a second. So right now. PRI so right now Mexican is doing badly. That's the carbon 215 evidence, and that's because PRI are the incumbents and they are running the country.
Actually, wait. Let's talk about this. The underlying part of the impact card says
which one?
On the first side, the last chart says President Chavez understands that the process leading to state failure is the most dangerous. And then you're like, we're headed for state failure, but we're not there.
The process.
Shouldn't that have triggered the impact?
No, that means that the affirmative pushes us over the brink because the fact that we're
but it says the process heading. Okay.
Yeah, the process is dangerous. We're reverting the process to make it less dangerous. Do you understand it?
Why is the money from the legalization they lose going to flip the election by 14 points?
I'm confused. Are you on the decriminalization, the first Mexican politics decide?
I'm on the only Mexican politics decide.
Yeah, sorry. What money are you talking about? Which card?
That's fine.
Okay, cool.
When's the election?
It's on January 20th or something. I can Google that. Oh, it's on July 1st. Oh yeah, one of the cards said actually it was my bad.
Explain the lane argument.
This is the lane one?
Yeah.
So just because you abolish plea bargaining doesn't mean you can do things like change police perceptions in the way that police always incarcerate black people. There are other alternative causes to the incarceration than the war on drugs, like actual violent affections or weapons violations, things like over policing and stop and frisk and stuff like that prove that the culture of the United States does not want black people to survive. So obviously the one is you can't change their perception.
Okay. Alright, 45 seconds, I'll sign out.
Oh, what's your name?
Just 1 second. Same. Case cartels modeling.
I'm good when you are.
Going right?
Is there a doc or?
Yes, I said
Where on case?
like extending the app, then answering your responses.
Cool.
I'm trying to go
Yeah. You good? Yeah, we're all good.
Alright. The criminal justice system is the modern plantation they use to ruthless sufficiently via plea bargains to incarcerate hundreds of thousands of black men. Then the crazy stereotype of the black finder police will look through poor neighbors because they know they can get them to take quick plea bargains even if they may or may not be guilty. That's the higher evidence. And the evidence of the obligation extent of the Alexander case. We cracked the system by forcing it to that. Only 95% of cases go to court on this question. Don't go to court on this question nationwide, which means they would force reform the answers back your plea bargains. In fact, they would not rather die if the entire judicial system would collapse. There are somewhat logical people in the county who would not reform this. The Alexander case we forced to reform. Also answers your stuff about. Also makes you talk about how it will get circumvented or whatever. The solvency and identify the entire country is ever implemented on this large of a scale. If one county is overloaded with judiciary, they can just divert resources and move people to the next county. But if the entire country that forces people to talk to look for reform, either way, though, you can see the independent offense from the analysis justified by the Supreme Court case. You can see the last card in the solvency advantage. The crucial argument indicates that because we changed the fact from being both intent and evidence to just evidence to prove discrimination under the Equal Protection Clause, that's offense from things like the workplaces and schools because lots more discrimination. That outweighs all of your arguments on magazine bars, a nationwide change. I think that it's not a question of cultural shift, but rather the fact that because tons more Equal Protection Clause cases, I mean, the courts have to rule for people not based just on intent, which is how people are able to get away with discriminatory policies. That independent offense that does not answer it, which I always sounds straightforward now. Now I'll deal with the issue of the question. First, you say plan fall. First, plan fall is voting issue. It's a nib that puts in, we have to answer plan fall and which gets killed as process. I have to answer and plan fall and when the act is desired. Well, that's a voting issue for fairness, cross play, fairness, and drop the barrier. You shouldn't get an RBI on this as far as 1 second. It's just like a couple seconds of the theory show. You can definitely answer. No reason to 2 hour spread on this question. Now you say the Pike argument. First, we solve polling. Second, I've already answered this. The Pike arguments for the crasher system resolves all this as far as we force reform in this question. Second, if that second, they're not the judicial branch. I explained that earlier. They will not put more. They cannot put more judges for the entirety of the country. The process is not fast enough to make people into judges in this question. I'll eventually answer solve expressions. Now on the framing debate, you say extinction first. When this is exactly the logic of the counter argument, criticize the point. You misunderstand the point of the counter argument. Is because disads are almost impossible to get down to a 0% risk, and it makes it strategic to run extinction impacts where you multiply magnitude times probably. That's why you should not evaluate it as a high magnitude for systemic slow violence like the affirmative on the question. You say no, Bradley. And obviously, there's a difference between extinction impact and mass incarceration. If there's no specific difference, like there's no specific difference between red and orange, you still know when one is the other. Extinction is not structural violence. You say you still link on when ultimately. Lastly, you say new 2 hour framing. Obviously, this is ridiculous. It means actually also get 2 hour weighing. I very clearly explained mass incarceration impact on the app. It's just consequential. You should just weigh impact. This is weighing in the affirmative. You should be able to also do that. No reason why you need to do stuff. And then otherwise, you do a lot of 2-way arguments. The cartels. First, there are a million all clauses to this 8 point. There's nearly 5 months until the election. Tons of different things can happen in Mexico. It's a politically unstable country, like you say. The B point, the cartels are massive, complex networks and webs that relates with tons of different resources and means for which they acquire their wealth. There's no reason why one specific added on top of that is the C point, or the next second that you need to show over on the link on this question. States have already begun the process, and it definitely happens anyway, which means it's not unique as far as more states continue to legalize. That's less and less money for the cartels. Also, all the alternative revenue schemes probably resolve this question. Lastly, the union says the Zhou cartels are unstoppable. Plan 16 and 100 mayors have been assassinated in a decade. There's been stats since former President Bill Clinton and launched all the country's drug cartels. Have profile cars analysis number to war. The corruption is a widespread problem in Mexico. It makes it difficult for police law enforcement remaining drug traffickers. Drug traffickers. The card also indicates that they're already cracking down on cartels, which means the union is trends the other way, not the way of the dissent. That would trigger impacts. Anyway, this question now. Also, the impacts are often on the context of unstable countries in places like the Middle East and Africa. Mexico is already trending in that direction and probably not going to do this. Also, the U.S. would bail them out if because of the large investment, how intertwined their economies are, which probably resolves now the modeling. This dissad is ridiculous. If one hears a different system, the international courts have used an entirely different procedure that's not necessarily involved clear in this question. The reason why this is link and unique at all. The big one here is that if it's that bad, the international systems just won't do it. They don't have to always do it. The U.S. does. The other countries like the EU also have a lot of influence over them. If they do not, if they keep bargaining, there's no reason they cannot do that as well. Also, no reason we care about. Also, your card here are just like the same logic that the act criticizes as far as arguments are. Oh, we need to get people and prosecute these criminals quickly and efficiently with plea bargaining. That's also what the act criticizes. This also is probably a bad thing if the act is true.
Okay, starting prep, 4 minutes. Okay. The order will be quickly on the Mexican politics, the modeling decide, overview on case, and case. There's just 2 in our extensions. You still want that?
No, I mean you don't have to send it.
Okay, cool. I mean, I'll send it if you want it.
It's not cards, right?
It's not cards. Okay. Alright. Good. Alright, everybody ready? We will concede that uniqueness take about on the dissent. We will concede that uniqueness overwhelms the link of Mexican instability is inevitable. That's the also impact defense evidence. Who may now the dissent. There's no straight on the dissent, so there's no offense. We'll go for the international court's dissent extensions. The impact is rapid war, increasing more than civility and death, which also links to structural violence. You can do the 1C frame the magnitude. Impact the back to structural violence. So it was so internally to your offense that we will concede that structural violence framing come first, but we won't go for extinction. We'll go for international genocide as a bad impact, and that leads to violence and things like instability. Extending the U.S. forces of justice on the world. Countries blindly accept the programs signed the U.S. relations to the U.S. Took this model best, but therefore exporting them to the programs as ODEP. They don't plea bargain to go international to support that. Takes out your first argument because you say it's a difference and they don't have to invoke plea bargain. But no, the lack of evidence of the 1AR is absolutely damning. It's almost silly. The fact that you haven't read the 1AR, you always err negative on this question that we have only the uniqueness claim says that the U.S. will export their hegemonic views on the European courts and make them do what the U.S. does, which proves that it is reverse causal and that abandoned plea bargaining in the U.S. would lead to abandoned plea bargaining into the international courts. You say they don't use plea bargaining, but yes, our link evidence proves that they do use plea bargaining now. Except for 17 bargaining is critical. Campaign and ICC investigations are almost impossible under violent conditions. Most international crimes occur in unstable areas called complaining by violence and bargains generating informants. Prosecutors do the impose incarcerating cases that go to trial bargains are key to efficiency to for prosecutors to work more cases, ensures faster punishment, and that's key to deterrent speed and probability or larger factors than severity. Without bargains, the ICC would be crippled. And extend Jones Simmons 14 prosecutorial action frames the ICC's power to deter civilian violence. Countries recognize the threat of prosecution also encourages domestic reports that reduce civilian killing allows for domestic prosecution of war crimes. Now your second argument is that the courts don't have to do it. Now our argument is that courts will have to do it because the U.S. has a strong point. The U.S. is more powerful than the EU because they have things like nationalized using and Trump as an irrational president, which makes it more likely that international courts would listen to the fact that you haven't read it in 1AR. Lane Turner, low in your uniqueness rating means you should always err negative on this question because our evidence is from professionals. You shouldn't trust Ryan Younger from Brentwood. He knows nothing about international politics, whereas our dissents are clearly experts. Now your next argument is that this is the exact logic of the dissent. No, we have impacted back to the dissent through structural violence, so the logic doesn't make sense. Our argument is that international war crimes will happen because efficiency is key to get rid of them. The type of model that the U.S. uses will be imposed into international courts models that leads to international violence. Now extend our impact that international genocide is about 8.8 that weighs on magnitude. We will co-opt your wing you made in the 1AR. That means it's not too new to in our wing, but rather an extension of your wing. That and the reason why we have a better internal link to that. This is international, whereas yours is just nationalized, and ours is backed by evidence, whereas yours is just an analytic extension from the 1AR. That's the due process argument. I'm referring to the due process argument. You don't get to weigh this against the international genocide because international genocide also means things like court decisions won't be respected by international courts, which proves that there's terminal defense against your offense because international genocide leads to a culture of instability and violence that allows for crimes to happen in the first place. So it also internally turns incarceration. It means that we have an internal link. You can see that there's no independent reason why you should prioritize reducing incarceration because it just says it's morally bad. If you think international genocide is morally bad, then you should also vote negative on the impact because it proves that we operate at the same framing levels on 1AC. You can see that the 1AC incoherent framing story proves that we should be able to leverage our impacts and we will co-opt the way that you've done. And this had weighs on probability too because there was no extension of why the dissent won't happen in the 1AR. The 1AC is obviously not as obviously probably won't happen as much as the dissent because you just concede so many case strengths. Now the 1AC overview. There are 3 reasons why I'm winning the 1AC versus planful. All we have to do is answer this Nibs bad argument, which is nonsensical and has no warrant. And second is core packing, which you have conceded. You only make the scope argument. We'll answer that on the case. The last one is the Pike evidence that there are so many alternative causes that Trump will rather kill himself than pass CGS reform. All we have to do is win one of these 3 pieces of evidence, and our dissent is more likely than the affirmative because we are weighing on strength of link. Now the dissent will start off with the 1AR overview. Your argument is that people themselves the root cause for incarceration. No, but police officers arrest people because they're racist, not because they think they can get off of trials. So prove that you don't solve for things like incarceration caused by our Lane 15 card, that there are alternative causes to why racialized incarceration happen. The examples are things like violent crimes and weapons holding and stop and frisk policies in the past prove that, which means that you'll never be able to solve for mass incarceration. You don't crash the system, you just lead to more incarceration, and that proves a terminal deficit to your solvency system is conceded. Your next argument is that it's 95% of cases that the scope takes out circumvention. No, our argument is that scope does not matter because Trump will just build more federal judiciaries. It doesn't take that long, and he's done it in the past because of Obama's vacancies, which proves that he's very likely to do it right now. Grossly doesn't give a shit about who he appoints, which means like things like inexperience does not matter. So our core packing descent outweighs on likelihood. Now your last argument is that no, that was kind of all the one I did. We'll answer this nibs voting issue shit. You say nibs are a voting issue. I mean, the plain flaw is not a nib. You can say the case outweighs because you can say the case outweighs. You can say impact on policy making. Read a new show on the 1 hour of 2009 nib. You can also say that you can read defense against the plain flaw. That's why plain flaw doesn't matter, which means that you don't have to win the nib. You don't have to win plain flaw to win the argument. Except for plain flaw, the honest and evaluator statement place a moral underpinnings rather than evaluate law that outweighs sexual competition. And in Arkansas, 2012 weed bill made it impossible to pack as someone you should instead of which proves that this has real implication that hijacks the internal link to your offense because it's key to better outfronting. So you know that you can actually get this in the future. That weighs on fairness because it means you'll win more debate rounds in the long run if you know how to defend your advocacy properly. Now, this is also just a reconstruct the argument substance debate. Always there's no warrant for drop the debater. Now we'll go for the court backing evidence essential to the expansion of federal judiciary allows Trump to appoint 1,000 new people because he can do whatever he wants. Those empirically proven in the 1970s when Carter did the same exact thing. Now it's more likely we'll have him already done the weighing in the overview extent the impact that Trump's lower appointees frame judicial decisions for decades outweighs on magnitude and time frame because other things like repealment of abortion rights and immigration rights and gay rights would already have at least more structural violence and causes public backlash which could lead to more incarceration. So it hijacks the internal link. You say extinction is logic, but you can see the extinction doesn't. It's not the framing issue. You should do this as valid, but rather that means it's not a performative voting issue in the 2 era. Protect the 2 era because this wasn't applied in the 1 era. And the fact that we linked up for probability and the fact that we made in the 1 and C that we linked to the probability means there's no impact to this argument.
Alright, 45 seconds. Case modeling descent. It'll be plan flaw and then the rest of the stuff. Like presenting offense and the rest of it.
I'm good when you are.
Don't vote on plan flaw kills Russell Policy. That was in the 1 era towards you can run the argument. I can respond to our choice. First, you say I mean because I go over case or ways running that still makes it a name. I still have to answer that or lose around this question. Also, you still goes rest process calculation. The fact that you go for 1 or 2 does not mean it is not a name. You say defense against plan, but the second argument defense against Zeno's paradox is still a nib. The fact that the answer does not change. I won't give this a drop the bear, but still a reason why you should not vote on plan. Also, plan law is not an argument. You're not supposed to go from the 2 and R. I did not concede. I indicate why his reason why is specific unfair. Now the rest of the debate. And then the plea bargaining is this procedural trial. This sustains mass incarceration criminal justice system. That is the 116 amendments and the other amendments and the Alexander amendments that force us to crash the system insofar as 95% of cases guilty trial and then causes wide-scale restructuring. CJ, as you said, it does not because Trump went on one Trump rather kills. Sure, Trump may kill himself. They still have to deal with the fact that there are hundreds of cases that are just not going. The federal system has literally collapsed. It does not matter if Trump went on kills. There is no other option. That is the Alexander amendments question. Now I'll deal with the court backing. The court backing, you can see the time frame. It takes a lot of time to appoint a bunch of new judges and they put people into the judicial process. That means that you need in that time the justice system will have already collapsed. There will be too many cases in this question. Also, you can see that's not a question of wide scale. Yes, if in one county the court's in collapse, you can appoint a few judges. The entire country is simply too much. Would overload them. Either way, they conceded the analysis, the court precedent. This made the extra topical was conceded through both arguments in the case. The precedent set by the act causes wide scale restructure the equal under the equal protection clause. The analysis means that it opens the floodgates for more discrimination suits for people of color and people in things like the workplace and schools. I mean, the impact is far more wide-reaching. Also, incredibly high probability as far as you say probability of fame and literature. You can see that this through 2 speeches probably which might always your genocide claims of strangling. I'll get to that in a second. The last you say that next you say that the high guidance of our Trump radio. I've already answered that. You see alternative clauses as far as we cancel other things. There are no alternative clauses. The evidence indicates that plea bargaining is the procedural entrapment. It is 95% of the system. It is based on that's higher evidence. In your analysis about reading cards, the streets probably asking this question about reading specific cards about how that is the case. Now the dissent. This dissent is terrible, and the fact that you have shitty cards does not change that. And the reason why you should on face reject me for just having analytics, if they are smart analytics, for extend this entirely different system. Your evidence just says that they sometimes model the general system. That doesn't mean any specific structure want to do it. Also extend that there's no reason why they have to do it if it's that bad. It's not a reason why they are going to, they have their own self-entry. The US is not powerful enough to make them do exactly what they want. It's about the systems are not exactly the same, which proves there are some influence that the entirety of the European Union does not want them to do it. That is probably sufficient defense on this question. Also, I'll deal with the high magnitude framing stuff. You say that you're also high probability, high magnitude, but you're not high probability. It's still a long link chain relies on them doing something, which is probably not going to happen. And it's solved deficit they might not do it should be sufficient for you to vote out, given you can see the entirety of the core precedent analysis. Last week, you can see that this is the same logic of the affirmative. The case still impact terms of dissent as far as your argument. You should still, the international courts also need a plea bargaining to process efficiently a bunch of different criminals and funnel them into this system. That is just as bad as this mass incarceration identified in the one I see. This is not the war crimes argument. Don't make any sense of this question. You say they need to be able to prosecute them. The evidence indicates they're probably they may not be guilty in this question. Either way, the case definitively outweighs the 8 points that we crash the system and force and general restructuring. If the other countries see the United States system crash, they're probably not going to want to do it themselves, which just didn't put more defense on this. And you conceded, they overturn this, which always on magnitude and as far as goes, like why should restructuring the criminal justice system. Right.